Yeah.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Who are you talking about? Your mailman?
Maybe
Not mailman.
Yeah,
ages ago, because he was gonna have some kind of health business.
yeah, it was like it could be a health food store.
And he must have run out of money, spent too much money.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, she's amazing woman. Nobody knew anything about her until she
So
came
that-
out,
that
but you know
gets some
what, she's,
attention. I mean, it already gets attention.
you're not supposed to
That's
overshadow the
interesting
president,
because
you
we
stay
already
in the
have a
background.
dispensary right over the road.
And that's what she did.
Butane is now recreational. They
I know.
were only medical, now it's recreational.
No, and they're not going to, they're not gonna give her the president, the person, the second person, they're not gonna give her.
By there on Sunday, and there were cars.
I saw that too. Yeah.
They were never opened on Sunday.
Well, you guys could do this real quick, just say, listen, the meeting started, anybody have any questions about the budget? No, let me read the resolution, and we're done. I do.
Just make sure that you have my phone. That is running by Zoom. And that one. Sure.
I think that was the thing for 6 o'clock.
Maria Lane is also joining us.
Six o'clock, so I will call to order the November 6th Town Board meeting to have a public hearing on the 2025 budget. Town Clerk, if you would mind reading the notice.
At a meeting held previously, the town of Woodstock Town.
You have to use the microphone.
I'm sorry. Is it on or back on?
Take two.
At a previous meeting, the Town of Woodstock Town Board scheduled a public hearing for the preliminary 2025 budget for November 6, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Como offices, 45 Como Drive, Woodstock, New York. All persons may now be heard.
Anyone have any questions, comments? John?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, John Ludwig. I have some questions, and I want to start with some information. This is the same chart I handed to you previously, dated from May, and this chart shows
Could I have?
numbers from the
Oh, thank you, Jack.
yeah, thank you. From the annual financial report of the town of Woodstock from 2015 to 2023. And the numbers there are revenue, tax, expenditures, and the unassigned fund balance, which I generally refer to as the surplus. And you can see the trend. I'd like to focus on that. It's the lowest bar on the chart. I guess it's kind of green. From 2018, where the number was around 1 million, up until 2023, which is the last year we have the numbers for, 1.976 million. It's an increase of 95% in 5 years. So that's the surplus, increasing 95% in 5 years. So you might say 400,000 a year if it were linear. And so that leads me to ask questions about the budget, which I got from the website. And it's hard to tell what the surplus might be. It would be nice if we had something searchable. This is 113 pages. So I didn't leaf through the whole thing, but I was hoping to find a number of proposed expenditure. And I assume that's gone up, and I'm sorry, holding the microphone up. And the tax on the next page, or the second page of the document from the website, from 2023 to 2024, the tax went up 2.8%. From 2024 to 2025 proposed, it goes up 4.4%. So that's a total in 2 years of 7.3%. So I'd like to understand, did you talk about the projected surplus, and why would there be this much taxation when your surplus trend is going up $400,000 a year? Is it still going up $400,000 a year?
No, I would say not. And if you look at the unexpended balance that I'm using this year, I've increased it, I've doubled it to $325,000.
Mhm.
We did take a good chunk of that unexpended balance. You know, what I would explain with this increase is, if you look, the increase really took off greatly around the time of the pandemic.
Right.
And what happened the first year, even into the second year, where expenses were drastically reduced and revenues didn't go down. Our revenues actually increased. Our sales tax revenues increased.
Mhm.
People were buying houses in Woodstock. So we actually had things crossing, and that's for a year or two while we had huge increases in the fund balance. I don't anticipate that that's going to continue.
Mhm.
One of the things that we did do is we took a big chunk of that money and we put it toward this renovation.
Mhm.
So yes, that the taxpayers did pay slightly more in taxes than they needed to, but it kept us from having to bond on this project. And ultimately, it saved, I think, close to $500,000 if we had bonded over the life of the project. So upside and downside. And I appreciate where you're coming from, John. I wouldn't want to see a continued rise either. I anticipate that it's going to level off.
There's no reason that surplus line should go up steadily year after
No,
year, right?
I don't disagree.
Okay.
And I don't anticipate, again, I did use more to drive that fund balance down a little bit, because it was myself that wrote, and the board adopted a fund balance policy
Mhm.
that indicated we should be keeping a certain percentage and no more. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you,
Explaining
John.
all
Great question. Nick, any questions? Okay. We'll try and take a question or two from the anybody out in the internet lands? No? Okay. All right, then I'll offer a resolution. Whereas on October 22nd, 2024, the Woodstock Town Board adopted the preliminary 2025 budget. And whereas providing for proper notice, scheduled a public hearing for November 6th at 6 p.m. Town offices at 45 Como Drive. And whereas such public hearing was open at a time and place of proper notice, and whereas comments and questions from the public were duly entertained. Did we entertain you, John?
Yes.
Thank you. And whereas the proposed 2025 budget levy falls within the limits of the New York State tax cap law and therefore does not require special legislation for its adoption, therefore be it resolved to close the public hearing. Be it further resolved to enter into the minutes of this proceeding the cover sheet of the 2025 budget indicating the 2025 levies for general highway, garden lighting, Woodstock lighting, Hamlet sewer, on-site sewer, and water funds. Be it further resolved to adopt the 2025 budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion.
Bennett and
Discussion.
Leland,
Yeah.
Discussion.
we just passed it.
I was calling for discussion. You didn't ask for a second, and I was
We did-
calling
I
for
did.
discussion.
Laura seconded. Okay, we'll discuss. It's passed, but discuss.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's excellent. We're We're calling, you're allowing discussion once you've already passed the
You
budget.
just had the vote, Bennett. You should be here where we can hear you properly.
The Zoom use is a proper use for somebody, Bill, please.
Actually, that's not entirely true since you bring it up, Bennett, because our local law says that you can do it for health reasons. Are
I'm
either one
not
of you-
feeling well, Bill.
You're not feeling well?
Yes.
You look a little fluish. So what would you like to discuss?
The budget lacks any transparency whatsoever. There's no money that's being set aside for the mounting legal bills that we're incurring and for the money that we'll have to pay in settlements or fines, like the Holdsapple case that just came up. I think that this is a complete charade that the revenues go up and the taxes go up. I'm voting no on this budget, although the vote has already taken place. Another lack of transparency on your part.
Well, we were very transparent. We're here in public, Bennett, and
I'm
we'll
here in
register your
public
no.
too.
Maria
On
Elena,
the-
I'm voting no because there's
Because
no
Bennett did.
line item for source tracing for our town's water. There's no budget for the promised funding for arts nonprofits. But, you know, more importantly is the source tracing. So if you're not going to include that, then I'm a no as well.
Thank you. So, John, you know, there's one other thing that I did want to mention with fund balance and using it against the budget. It's a tricky thing, and I've said this before, but you need to be a little careful because of the tax cap limit. And were you to use too much fund balance for recurring costs, you would find yourself next year being way over the tax cap, and if it were a recurring cost. So what we have always tried to do, Jeremy was good about it, it's been a mantra that I've tried to follow, is that use these for non-recurring costs. You know, so if there's some money, and there's a few things in the budget that are more of a one-time thing. So that's why I was comfortable, in addition, putting more into it. But
You know, what I'm hearing, maybe you didn't say this, but I can think that because of the tax cap, you wouldn't want to not raise the tax because you have a tax cap. So every year you get an opportunity to raise the tax.
that you're correct there. And what I would point out is that frequently, and in fact, this year, give me a second, I'll look it up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Well, for those who didn't hear, I just said that it seems to me that you wouldn't want to miss an opportunity to raise the tax because you have a cap every year. So you
That's
want
what-
to take that opportunity.
That's a great question, John. And I think that probably some communities do take advantage. They go right to the tax cap every year. So this year, our tax cap limit for all the combined, for the four combined, was $324,000. Our increase over the four, the tax increase is 176 and change. So we're actually $147,000 below our tax cap. So, you know, if we wanted to play games, and again, I'm sure some communities do, I would have used that up and not touched the fund balance. But I felt, I agree with you. I don't want to see the budget, the fund balance too high. So,
I think Bennett wanted to say something.
Bennett, did you want to say something?
I was coughing.
Oh, okay. So listen, I think that's it. So I'm going to move to adjourn. All in favor? Have a great evening, folks. Thank you for coming out.